Welcome to the series where we're going to take you on a journey to be more self-sufficient.
What more do you want?
As I'm going to rekindle our passion for easy-to-follow DIY.
Perfect.
We'll be looking back at the TV archives to rediscover the very best homes and gardens advice.
Aerate the soil of the area that you're going to re-turf.
From some of the nation's favourite experts.
The potatoes in the ground have been very successful.
Showing you how, even with limited tools,
Who's first for the sausages, then?
we can all master the basic skills. Now that is solid. Everything from upcycling, we're going to have fun, quick fixes,
You see how easy it comes off?
right through to the builds that we all need to know.
There's really not a lot to it.
Plus, in my workshop, I'll be sharing my simple home hacks that works a treat and demos to get everybody started. If you can pinch an inch, you've done it too loose. Inspiring you to do it all yourself. Saving you money and finally tackling those everyday jobs together. Job done and dusted. Welcome to the show. We've got loads of tricks, tips and creative ideas to help you fix up your home. And don't worry, I'm going to be keeping an eye on those purse strings for you. Today we're going to see an old box get upcycled.
Oh my goodness me, it's lovely.
Some great tips of what to do with wallpaper.
Cut the rolls slightly longer than what you need.
And how to make your own brick barbecue.
Well, what more could a man wish for?
Plus, I'm going to show you how to make a headboard from scratch. Woo-hoo. Have a look at that. And some amazing hacks. You can make your own furniture polish. You don't have to spend a fortune. First up, we're going to see an old box turned into something beautiful as well as useful.
Sarah's brought along the old wooden chest, hoping wallpapering Wonder Woman Emma can paste on some pizzazz.
What have we here? A nice heavy box, isn't it? It's not a flimsy box. Let's get this on top.
It's really chunky. It hasn't got the bits on the side. It's completely shattered at the back. It would be really pushing it to try and make it into a bench or a chair. So what do you reckon?
I definitely think it's got enough about it. I do love a box, I have to say. All of the carved details, I think, should be picked out, which will be a task in itself.
It's a complete renewal job for Emma, keeping its character but endeavouring to revitalise the box.
I say I'm going to keep all its dings and vats, but not the one up front here where there used to be a keyhole and there's a big gash, so I'll need to fill that.
Working fast with wood filler is essential as it dries very quickly.
That'll do for the first one, because it really is tough stuff. It really does dry hard.
The wood filler is being applied to the box and the lid.
So that'll do for the first fill on this for the moment, and then I'll do a second fill to refine it, give it some finesse. That's nice and hard, so I'll sand it back and see if it needs another little fill. But I want to have a look at the legs now. So I've got these bracket legs from another piece of furniture. I'm really pleased because I thought they might need cutting, but I like the points of them. They echo the points of the carved flowers. And now it's beginning to look handsome. Dead happy with those legs. Mwah.
Emma takes the box outside to focus on the design.
I'm just going to give it some homemade chalk paint and see what happens, because I want all this to be evident. It's not going to stay like this. I just want to do layers and layers of washes in the same sort of tones of stone with a hint of green. And that takes a bit of experimenting and layers of washes and some varnishes in between.
The old wooden chest has been totally rejuvenated. The blue and cream chalk paint highlights the wood carving, and to complete the design, Emma has added a tiny flower to each. Emma repaired and reattached the lid before fashioning a foam-filled Hessian cover that complies with all UK fire safety standards, so the chest can be used as a comfy footrest too. It wouldn't be an Emma project without a splash of wallpaper. And it's the feet that get the treatment here, as well as lining the inside of the chest.
Oh my goodness me, it's lovely. And a beautiful interior.
And some nice paper on there.
I think you've done something really clever with it. Those details were nothing before and you made them look beautiful. So I'm going to say thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Remember, most of the work is in the restoration. And once that's done, it's onto the paint job. You can always try this at home with an old coffee table or even a chair, or as I'm about to show you, a headboard. You need a few bits. Bit of timber. You're gonna need some foam and get that cut to size. Then you're gonna need some Dacron, and this gives you that kind of spongeability. It makes it more comfortable. And you need some material, any colour, whatever you fancy. If you want, you can have some buttons as well. Then you need some buttoning twine. And last but no means least, you need some contact adhesive. Now this is just spray glue, but as it says, it's contact adhesive. So you spray it on one side, spray it on the other, put them together, and you can't get them apart. Because as soon as they make contact, they're stuck. I always put another bit of material down because this stuff goes everywhere. What I've done is I've drilled out some holes. So these holes are where the buttons are gonna go, but we'll do that at the end. Now, if you don't want sticky hands when you're using the contact adhesive, just wear gloves. So that's on there. Now, what's recommended is put your foam on, and remember, it will not stick because there's no glue on here. Put it on, like that. Then spray this. A nice even coverage all over. And then, remember, you only get one chance at this, so it's got to be right. So that is stuck on there, which is perfect. Then we're going to stick our Dacron on. So we spray once again. And then we do the same thing again, upside down. Spray it on top. Now with the Dacron, it's slightly bigger. And I want it to be slightly bigger because it's going to wrap right round the headboard. I roughly know where the middle is. Over that way, down that way, and push it out. So now it's time for the material. So, you just roughly need about 2 to 3 inches pull over. Now it's time to start stapling. Always do your best to go in opposite orders. So staple up the top, then staple up the bottom. And I'll show you what I mean. So once you've stapled one side, just flatten out the material and just try and smooth it over. And as you're smoothing it up like that, you're then pulling on the opposite side. So I'm smoothing up and I'm pulling there. So now I've done the 2 ends and the middle, it's time to tackle the corners. Now the corners, really, really simple. Lie it down flat, and then find the corner on the material, just pull it up. So it's starting to look a bit like a headboard now. All we've got to do is staple all the way up, cut off the fabric we don't need, and then that should be it. Get your scissors in there, cut all the way along. So now the back is all secure. It's time to have a look at the buttons. So as I said before, I've drilled the holes, so I need to push my button needle through, and there's the hole that I need to thread through. Now I'm going to go for a lovely shade of green, because I like things bright. And there's loads of different ways to do buttons, but this is the way that I was taught. You cut a bit of string, push those two through here, and then you've got the loop at that end. Put your hand through and grab those two, and then you pull the loop, and that means that the button now is secure onto the thread. And with the thread, push it through the hole, and then pull it through. Once you've got it to the right tightness that you want, you can then secure this here. So now let's do the other two. Now the buttons are all secure on the back. Woo-hoo. Have a look at that. It's quite simple, a bit fiddly with the buttons, but you get the idea. Now, Dacron is a type of wadding that we use in upholstery, and it makes the cushion, the seat, feel quite soft and spongy. But if you're gonna buy foam, make sure you ask if it's fire retardant as well as the fabric that you're gonna put on it. Next up is how to hang wallpaper. Now, I know this puts a lot of people off, but Gavin shows us how easy it is if you follow these simple rules.
So it looks like you've got 2 layers of paper on here.
Yeah, I think what they do is they had like a lining paper on first, and obviously I've tried to get it off before and it didn't work, so I've just gone over the top of it.
Case of camouflage.
Yeah.
Wallpaper strippers are cheap to hire and easy to use. You simply fill the tank with water, switch the unit on and wait for it to boil, just like a kettle. Once the stripper has started steaming, it's ready to use. Place the hot pad over the area to be stripped and hold it in position for a few seconds. The paper will soon get damp enough to remove. Just take a blunt stripping tool and scrape away at the soggy paper. You'll find it comes away easily without too much effort. Just remember to take care when you're using this kind of stripper, as the steam is scalding hot and it's easy to splash yourself with the boiling water.
It's a nice thick paper. In the olden days, you used to have to use things like the paste, you know, you put your powder in, mix it all up. But modern products these days, it's kind of like an ice cream texture. Brush can almost stand up in it. Good way of doing it is cut the rolls slightly longer than what you need. So you're not working off a roll, you've just got a piece of paper that you can actually work with.
Cut a piece of wallpaper to the height of the wall. Apply the paste and wait for the paper to expand and the glue to set a little. Don't overlap any edges of the paper and use a dry brush to get rid of air bubbles. Cut off any excess at the top and bottom with a sharp blade.
Now that looks top-notch. So when you take off your old wallpaper, you might find that your walls are not in a great condition. But don't panic. If that's the case, cover up the wall with lining paper and that should cover any imperfections. Now, when the sun is shining, what could be better than a barbecue? And Russell's going to show us how to make an old-school barbecue out of bricks on a budget. Got to see this.
You know, it's always the same, isn't it? The first sign of a bit of sun and we just dash outside and think of the barbecue. Well, sadly, we don't have one here, but I'm about to put that to rights with a pile of bricks and that grating over there. But we have a problem because this base we want to build on is sloping away from me, so we need to level it up. The way we're going to do that is with a mixture here of sand and cement on the basic mixture of 3 parts sand to 1 part cement. I have actually put some water in as well. It's semi-dry. And this, once it's level, will go off nice and hard and enable me to have a good base to put my barbecue on, and that's looking really good. Get some more on there. You know, I can almost guarantee it. Now I've put my cap on, I bet the sun disappears. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't. Now, I've laid a line of bricks all the way round there, and they've just been laid dry, because this is all a case of trial and error. Now, this ashtray here is all part of a kit that you can buy, and that just has to sit nicely inside the bricks, which it does. The way it's going to be supported when we get to it is with these little bits of metal here. They'll be set in the cement, brick on top of that, and that's what will support the ashtray and everything else. Right, well, we've got up to the level where we need to start putting in these things, which are going to support all the various levels of our barbecue. I told you the sun would go in if I put my cap on, didn't I? The bricks, incidentally, are just simply personal choice. It's totally up to you how you want your barbecue to look. And the way it works is like this. Bit of cement over here. Put them in place roughly about 100 mil in from the back wall and from the front here. And just get lots of cement on there. Just work that down. And this is everyone's chance, you see, to do a little bit of bricklaying. And I can tell you, there's really not a lot to it. Just a little bit of patience. That drops on there. The key factors to laying bricks are keeping it plumb and keeping it level. And if you do that, you should be okay. So those two are in nicely. That's good. I need my level, which is over here. That needs to go on there. Well, we're going great guns here. Very shortly, I reckon it'll be time to get the old sausages out, won't it? But we need to cut half a brick, so on go the safety glasses. Every other course needs 2 half bricks. It's easily done, just measuring the halfway point, which comes right smack in the middle of those 2 holes there. What I need to do first of all, though, is just score a line across this surface here, and just a couple of hard knocks. One more for luck. Should do the job, hopefully. And now what I need to do is gently split it in 2. There we go. Well, what more could a man wish for? The sausages are on the barbie, cooking away, an ice-cold beer in my hand, and it's all done and dusted. And I have to say, I think I deserve it. This cost around about £30, and it's taken me half a day or thereabouts to put it together. So, who's first for the sausages then?
Me. Now, don't ask me where all that excess cement went. Now, the price of bricks has gone up since then. I think a barbecue like that should cost you around 50 to 60 quid. But not bad for a hard day's graft in the sunshine, is it? Big, expensive refurbs might seem out of your league, but looking at posh building projects will give you great ideas at a fraction of the cost.
Nestled into a hillside, this misshapen studio is as far as you can get from the typical 4 walls and a roof and a bog-standard finish. Myrtle Cottage Garden Studio was built for £150,000. So immediately you can see it sits very beautifully in this bit of landscape, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
But it's a very modern building.
Yeah, what I like is the earthy kind of colour.
So this is patinated copper that actually is amazingly beautiful. If you feel that, it doesn't feel like you think it would.
No, yeah, it feels smooth compared... I actually thought it would feel a bit more rough than...
Me too.
This is quite a bold statement, and I need to kind of get past that and kind of look at different options in what kind of materials we can use.
The patinated copper is a premium product, and this exterior cost over £14,000. The labour element of this, because it's quite a specialist thing, is expensive, but actually there's no reason that you couldn't find something you can do.
I think the finish is great, and I definitely think it would be something we could possibly work with on the house.
So nothing about this space is conventional. There's no regular walls, all the windows are at an angle, everything's been thought through here. So what do you think?
It's not normal, and that's what's nice about it.
There's just this great quality of space, isn't there?
Yeah.
So this floor is very beautiful, isn't it? This is a dark concrete, so this has a pigment in it. Polished concrete flooring like this costs from around £100 per square metre. You could achieve a similar look for less by using concrete effect ceramic tiles or even floor paint.
It's definitely given me some thought of, you know, what I can do. It's just putting it into practice now and experimenting.
The copper I showed Lee is very expensive, so usually unthinkable on a low-cost project. But I've found a metal wholesaler in nearby Walsall which might make it possible.
It's nice, isn't it?
That is nice.
Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. The reason I brought you here is that this is a place where you can get it as cheaply as possible. You can get access to wholesalers like this all over the country. They usually stock a much wider range of metal products than a building supplier. It comes in lots of different thicknesses. Should we lay that out on this? These thin copper sheets cost just over £45 a square metre, much cheaper than the high-end stuff. And using a tile design could also be a cost-saving trick. Yeah, let's lay out these and see how it looks.
It looks nice. There's different light on it if you change it the other way.
Yeah.
It's nice.
You've got quite a small surface area,
Yeah.
so I think you might need quite small pieces. Buying large sheets of copper means more wastage when cutting them to size. Using small tiles can reduce this, and they can be easier to fit. I mean, this is thicker than you'd use, but actually, it's quite a nice proportion.
Yeah, you get more detail, don't you?
You do?
No, I do like that.
Great, I can't wait to see it. Lee's at work cladding the exterior back wall with copper.
I'm going to drill the copper plate and then attach it with copper nails. I'm going to experiment as I go along and hopefully get what I want. I've kind of got in my head what I want.
He's gambling more than £1,000 on the exterior. I only hope his make-it-up-as-you-go-along approach pays off. This looks amazing.
It's nice,
That's
isn't it?
fantastic.
I think just gives you a total kind of different kind of character, really.
Yeah.
And this will age as well. In 7 years' time, it can be green.
And it looks really tactile. Can I have a closer look at it?
Yeah.
Having fallen in love with the £14,000 cladding on the studio, this cost him just $1,400. It's a very soft metal copper, isn't it?
Yes.
But this looks like you've used quite a thick
This copper's 1.5 mil thick. I find that now gives it a totally different kind of character. It's just a one big sheet of copper.
And for you, have you enjoyed the whole process of questioning the way you were doing things and trying new ways?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's pulled me out of my comfort zone. And I'm now kind of wanting to try even more materials. It's all been pluses on my side, really.
Unbelievable. They managed to get all of that done for 1/10 of the cost, and they've done it themselves. So I'll tell you what, don't let the big jobs put you off. Think of different cheats. If you're not confident with working with copper tiles, how about copper paint? Now, that will be a brilliant statement in a small room like a bathroom or even a bedroom. Why not give it a go? Next up, I'm going to show you a simple hack that anybody can do at home, and you don't need any DIY skills. It's a make-your-own wood polish with 3 simple ingredients, and 2 of them you might have in your cupboard already. What we need is white vinegar, and you need some olive oil, and we need some essential oils, and this is just to give it that sweet smell, and you can pick whichever one you want. If you want lavender, if you want peppermint, it's entirely up to you. So, you need about 1/4 cup of your vinegar and about 50 to 75 mils of your olive oil. A little bit more. Then, your essential oils. Need about 10 drops. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. I just love that smell. And already, it smells nice. And I've got my container that you can spray out of. And these you can get online. So now that's in there. Give it a little bit of a shake. And I need something to polish now. I've got this chair. Doesn't look too good, does it? And the smell is just so nice. So, What the vinegar does, it lifts the dirt, and then the olive oil just gives it that lovely shine and that kind of greasy look, but it's not greasy at all. And then the essential oils give it that sweet smell. So that means you can make your own furniture polish. You don't have to spend a fortune. Whether you've got a garden, a patio, or even a windowsill, you might want to jazz things up with a few plants. As we're about to see, you can pretty much use anything to pot plants, even the unexpected.
Well, I've found myself a very cosy corner here in the dry garden to plant up this beautiful container. That container can really be anything, even a pair of old boots, provided either they're porous material or you can put drainage holes in, they'll be fine. And that's really the key to growing in containers. You must have that drainage. Here in the bottom, we've got a couple of holes, but the important thing is to stop those from being clogged up. So I can't just put the compost straight in. I'm going to use some crocks. Now, these are just bits. I had an old broken pot, and I just broke up the rest of it to make these pieces. They're quite big for this pot. And you just drop them in over the holes to make sure the compost doesn't go in, and then just put a few more in randomly in the base of the pot. Plants need for their roots to be able to respire. Otherwise, they can quite literally, I know it sounds bizarre, but they can drown. And this is just a multi-purpose compost. I'm just going to plant something that will look, you know, good at this time of year, take us sort of through the autumn and winter, and still be looking good for the summer and give us multi-layers of interest. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of, a few handfuls of grit into there just to really improve that drainage again. Right, now, well, I've got a variety of things here. What I'm going to do is choose something that's going to be a little bit more long-lasting. So I've got some grasses for that. These beautiful little carexes and wonderful golden foliage. I think I'll probably put 3 into this container and just space them out nicely. And I'm going to put little violas around those as well. They're like little baby pansies, and they're really good value because, again, they flower pretty much right through from the autumn, and they'll go on flowering through the winter. And you just press them up from these plastic containers. And the trick with these violas is to keep deadheading them, and that means just taking off the flowers. As they go over, if you pull them off, you'll encourage the plant to produce more flowers. And then, as a final little tip, to really keep that interest going, I'm going to add some bulbs. These are little miniature daffodils. As you can see, they've got a very definite pointy bit at the top. That's the bit you want to be pointing upwards. And then underneath the base there, that's where the roots will come from. So you want it to go in that way. And you ideally want to have twice as much, again, as the height of the bulb in compost on top of it. So it goes in to 3 times its own depth. And actually, in containers, you can pack in these spring flowering bulbs really quite closely, provided they're not touching. It'll give you a really great display. Then you just fill in with the compost. And last but not least, really good soaking. Now, my next pot is going to be perfect for gardeners who tend to forget to water their plants or who go away a lot, because it uses low-maintenance, drought-tolerant plants. Now, there are some clues that you can use to help identify those plants. For instance, many plants with silvery foliage have really good drought tolerance. And they're actually, the leaves are covered in lots of tiny, tiny hairs which help to trap the moisture, stop it evaporating, and also act like a reflector and bounce the sunlight off. Another good way of telling are plants like this lavender, French lavender, which has got very tiny leaves, and again, that small leaf size helps to stop water from evaporating too quickly. But I'm going to use this beautiful Echeveria, which is a succulent, and that simply means that it has these fat leaves which actually can store moisture inside them. So I've just got the compost up to the right level, and it's absolutely packed full of horticultural grit, really to open it up and give good drainage. And then just take the plant out, and I'm just using one single specimen plant in this pot, which is quite a contemporary pot. And you don't necessarily have to cram in lots of plants to get good effect. Sometimes one is all you need, and it can just look really stunning. And just firm it down with your fingertips. And then I'm going to put a nice thick layer of grit just over the top of the compost, because that will help not only to stop the water evaporating, but it will also set off the plant beautifully.
Now, low-effort plants are a great idea if you're not very green-fingered. Rachel recommends using old boots as planters. Now, you could use anything you've got lying around the house, tin can or even a colander. That's already got holes in it. That's perfect. If you're ever doing up a bathroom, there are hundreds of options. But as we're about to see, you might be able to get your dream bath.
So, what is it you want?
Nothing in this room at all. It's
Oh, well, that's
really...
a good one to start with. Well, what sort of bath do you want? A panelled one?
No,
Freestanding one?
they want a freestanding bath. I really like the look of those.
And what do you want, Nigel?
Well, what I like is a really powerful shower, something I can stand up in with loads and loads of water.
Well, I think we'll address the bath first.
That's fine.
And what I've done is I've brought you a catalogue here, so if we have a look through this first, and then we'll go from there.
Great.
This is an old trade catalogue. It was revised in 1899, but it's got all the things that we're going to be looking for.
Great.
And what about this sitz bath?
Well, it's a bit small. Doesn't look very luxurious to me.
For a cast iron bath, the originals are the best, and a salvage yard the best place to find one.
Oh, what do you think of this secret place?
It's amazing.
Well, I said there'd be lots of baths to look at.
Yeah, but they're all very rusty.
Oh, don't worry about that. There's plenty of refinishes out there. What I'm more concerned about is to make sure that we have the correct feet to the bath. Another thing to watch out for on these old baths is the overflow. Not all of them had it, so if you leave it and a child turns the taps on, over the top, straight through the ceiling. All we need now is the yardstick, and then you can go and try some baths on.
OK. I like this one. It seems to be about the right sort of length, and also it's very comfortable.
So, you'll have to get out and we'll get it on the truck.
Then it was time for the bath to meet its renovator. First it was blasted. Then, using mops baked in a special compound, it was brought up to a highly polished finish. The repolishing didn't just bring up a beautiful finish, it also revealed that we were dealing with a very special bath indeed.
This is what rediscovering architectural salvage is all about. It's when you have a find, and this is a find. It's made by the Carron Company. They were famous for making cannons in the 18th century. You're not just buying a bath, you're buying a piece of history.
The next stage was to recondition the inside. Specialist bath restorers will come to your home. Our man Trevor's first job was to remove all the old enamel. And while the bath was coming back to life in the garden, the bathroom had been stripped of its old fittings. The bath had cost £35, then £200 to blast, polish and lacquer. Then with Trevor's refinishing, the total cost was £550. But an equivalent repro would have set Nigel and Sam back between £1,500 to £2,000. With the room painted jade green to complement the colours of the window, we'd finally created a room with a unified feel. Some of it we'd done ourselves. The window and skylight were salvage items, which allowed the light to flood in and Sam to look out. The basin was picked up from the school, but as it originally only had one cold tap, we fitted a reproduction mixer tap. The toilet and seat were both salvage finds from a yard in Northampton. For the bath, Sam and Nigel chose antique French twin taps from the turn of the century. They'd been fully restored inside and out. So by mixing the old with the new, and finding some gems along the way, like the bath, we'd created a genuine one-off.
Doing things yourself is the best way to save money. But if this is out of your skill set, organising and sourcing the materials is another way to save a packet. If you can't get to a salvage yard, have a look online. There's loads of options on there. If you're short of cupboard space for spices, or you want somewhere to store your screws and nuts and bolts and stuff, I've got the perfect idea. All you need, some jam jars and hook and loop tape. It's really simple. Put some double-sided Velcro on there, and then imagine this is your shelf. Put it in there, and then whatever you want, put it inside there so you can see it. I'll show you how simple it is. So you get your self-adhesive hook and loop tape. Cut some strips. Peel off, and then stick it on the top. Make sure it's nice and secure. So one little tip is to make sure you space them out evenly. So I'll put one right there. As long as I put that one there, then I know I've got the other two quite evened out. So there, you can put whatever you want in there. So all you've got to do is twist it and then empty out what you need and then put it back. Simple. Now, I know these jars are empty, but look how I've used them. So what I use these for, washers, little spacers, it's ideal, because I know where they are, and if they run out, I just take them off, fill them up again. It's quality. Now, isn't it satisfying to make something for nothing, and it's super useful? Next up, Sarah shows us how you can revamp an old sofa using one big trick, and that's colour.
Sarah has sailed into town with the 70s settee, hoping that Leanne and the gang can give it back its spark.
It's good and heavy, which always means it's nice and well made. What do you think?
I think it's beautiful. It's got such good features to make the most of.
So there's loads of 1970s stuff going on, heaps of colours like oyster and mink and mushroom that are out there. I have noticed that for selling things, though, it's got to be really individual.
I would love to bring in an artist to collaborate with this one.
Have you got any examples?
Yeah.
Go on then, show me what we've got.
So we've got some things here. There's some really great colours in there.
Those are ferocious, aren't they? And in terms of refurbishing this, because it's in great nick, presumably you're covering it rather than reupholstering.
It's just a recover. It's just getting the fabric on there and looking gorgeous.
Sounds fantastic.
I know. I'm really excited.
Not as excited as I am. I mean, look at that.
I know, it's gorgeous, isn't it? I love working with it.
Really cool. Can you take that on then?
Sure.
Good luck with it. Tell me when it's done. I'll be down here as soon as I can.
See you soon.
It's goodbye to the stylish sofa and hey man to a psychedelic settee.
So the sofa is 1970s, so we're going to have to replace the foam to bring it up to fire regulations. First thing we're going to do is remove all these cushion covers and we'll get stripping back all this fabric.
To strip the sofa down to its frame, Leanne has brought in Charlotte to lend a hand.
It's sticky!
Although just getting the cushion cover off seems to be giving them bother.
Leanne, if you do it straight away, I'm going to cry.
It is, isn't it?
There we go.
And they're off. Next, Leanne starts to remove the dangly fringing round the bottom.
This fringing is the original for the sofa. It really complements the style of it.
This kind of decorative edging is called bullion fringe. Traditionally gold or silver, it's now available in a whole host of colours. Made by twisting lengths of thread, it gives a dramatic edge to your seat that was all the rage back when this couch was created.
Get my my staple remover.
With the trim off, the ladies begin the arduous task of removing the staples pinning the fabric to the frame.
Oh man, we've gone to town.
They really have.
But whoever upholstered this sofa wasn't shy with a staple gun.
A lot of staples to remove. It's gonna take a little while, I think, to get all this off.
Staples, as opposed to traditional tacks, have been commonplace in upholstery for decades.
It'll be fine, don't worry.
Some upholsterers prefer them over tacks as they leave only small holes in the wood and don't require constant hammering, which can weaken more fragile pieces of furniture.
And we have another layer of fabric underneath.
The downside, though, is that people don't hold back, firing them in with little regard for the poor soul who has to pick them all back out again.
I reckon they put more fabric on here just so they could use more staples.
OK, we're getting somewhere.
As Leanne and Charlotte soldier on, Ellen is busy at the sewing machine.
I'm just wrapping this piping cord in this lovely green fabric, and we're going to use it as a little accent around the cushions and around the arm caps, just to add a bit of detail.
Sarah's back in Bristol to find out if Leanne was able to capture the spirit of the 70s in the old settee. Luxurious short pile velvet now adorns the backrest and seat cushions, with sleek and silky lime green satin jumping out from the armrests. Every inch has been expertly upholstered, with a few extra throw cushions popped on top, adding even more to entice the eye.
Oh my goodness me! That's stunning, isn't it? It's literally giving me goosebumps. Well done, it's exceptional. Really good. Have you sat on it?
No, we should give it a try.
Come on. I'm going. Oh, brilliant. It's really beautiful.
Now, if that's a bit tricky, you can start by covering an old stool. Maybe make a cushion or get some lovely colourful fabric and put it on there. A splash of colour in your house makes all the difference. But remember, if you're using foam, fabric, Dacron, anything, make sure it's fire retardant. If you're unsure about any of the DIY you've seen, you can always ask an experienced friend or get a qualified professional to give you some help. I hope this has given you some food for thought of how, with a little bit of creativity, you can really improve your home. Go on, give it a go. And I'll see you next time. Take care.